So going straight into it, you can see I've put a hole in our pirate's shoulder. Sorry, Mr. Pirate. I've put a split pin in from the back, opened it out, put glue again just on the split bit of the pin, not on the card, and put his arm on top. You can see I'm using a tea towel to poke the holes in, just saves you poking your own finger. So you put the thing that you're poking a hole in on top of the tea towel, and then you poke a hole in. So I'm doing the back arm there, same thing, but this time a hole through the arm, split pin through from the back. So now looking at the oar and the body, I'm just moving my finger around to work out where's the best place to put a hole. My camera failed at that point, I'm afraid, but I've put a hole in his hip and put a split pin again through the back, and I'm just gluing the very bottom of the raft to the back page. So just that behind that black strip, that's the only place where we're putting glue, because we don't want all of the raft to be stuck down, because we've got mechanisms going in between the back page and the raft itself. Just putting glue on the pin, not on the paper, because we don't want the paper to stick together, because then you won't get any movement. And I'm just going to cut a little bit the fingers, not all the way to the top, because obviously his fingers will fall off, just so it looks like he's actually holding the oar. I'm going to glue it on the bottom arm and then move it around, as you can see, and just tuck those fingers that I've just cut the edge of around the top of the oar. If this is going a bit fast, it's just so it's not boring if you understand what I'm doing, but if you need to watch it again, then feel free to rewind. So you can see that it's moving at the hip now, and his arms are moving up and down, so we have some action ready to get him rowing. I discovered that the hole for his shoulder, I wasn't getting enough movement. I was getting a bit of friction. It wasn't moving freely, so I've used a hole punch to make that hole a bit bigger on that front shoulder for that first arm, and that's just giving me a smoother action. I'm now putting the lever on. Lever is just a strip of card, strongish card, because you don't want it to bend when you're doing the action. I've again split pinned that to the back of the whole mechanism. Okay, so I've actually slowed this bit down again, because there's some technical bits coming up. So this first bit, we're trying to find out where the best place to put our slit for our lever is, so that we can hide the mechanism behind the page. As you can see, I made a mistake under my finger there, realised it wasn't the right place for the slit. So that happens particularly if you don't concentrate like I wasn't. So you can see that now it's in the proper place, and I can hide that mechanism behind the page. So we're moving around, but that oar can move up and down, and we don't really want that. So what I've done is put another slit at the bottom of the page here, a straight slit, and that's going to control and restrict the movement of the bottom of the oar, so it's not flailing around where we don't want it to move. Making another lever, just another thick piece of card with a split pin through, popping that through the slit that I've just made at the bottom, and again gluing just the pin to, this time, the bottom of the oar, and that's just going to tether that oar down to the bottom, so when I move it, it can't go up and down, but it can go forwards and backwards, which is what we want. We want it really to stay in the sea. It does work without this, but it's not as smooth an action without this. So if you don't want to go to the bother of doing the slit, or if it's not working, or if it's driving you crazy, then just take that out, and it does still work without, but sometimes it hops up and down out of the sea. So I've made some sea, as you can see, just some strips of plain blue. The card I used wasn't quite thick enough, so you can see we're getting a bit of bend there, but that's easily fixed. But just to show you how things can create technical errors, I was messing around with it too much, so I needed to glue that all back on. We've now got two levers, one out to the left and one out to the right. The one out to the left is just keep moving that oar to make it a much smoother action. As you can see, I needed to just keep taking the fluffy bits off the edge of that slit at the bottom, because it was catching, and also I was messing around with it too quickly when the glue hadn't dried properly, which obviously you shouldn't do, but I'm an impatient person, which you might be too. So basically, top tip, leave the glue to dry, because it makes things work a lot better. Just put a few little flecks of black pen on the sea there to make it look more sea-like, and as you can see, now the glue's dried, we're getting a better action, and he is frantically rowing the raft to shore. Now, I needed more hands at this point because you basically need 2 people to operate this mechanism, because you need to move the sea as well as the levers at the same time. I did actually manage to get a trusty assistant a few days later. Here you can see that we're just having a quick practice finding out what the main snags and catches are on the mechanism. So obviously the longer your sea sections are, the further your boat can sail, otherwise you have to keep going backwards and forwards, which doesn't make complete sense. You can see that where the sea is sometimes hopping out from the anchoring section in the middle, just be aware of that. And also you can see here that it would be better if you built the whole thing on a nice sort of sea blue card, because then when your lower mechanism is slipping down a bit, as you can see there, you won't see any sort of out of place white sections, so you could use like a sky blue or something like that. And that's it, that's the end of our animation. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Make sure you click like please if you liked it, or dislike boo if you didn't, and subscribe and all that kind of thing. If you've got any questions or you'd like to see more videos of different parts of Captain Pugwash, just pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best. Okay, thanks a lot, bye.